everyone, it's Andy, and today's video is going to be a tutorial on how I make my boxed bags. First of all, why did I start making these? The reason is I have loads of fabric scraps from quilts, quilt backing leftovers, and then I also have loads of batting left over from quilts that I make because I make memory quilts for a living. And it is, I have collected quilt batting, like small cuts, over the years of making memory quilts. And I thought I don't want to throw it. I want to make something with it. So there's so many things you can make with extra batting. So here, for example, a quilted box pouch. It's super cute. Then I can sell this at a market or online. So yeah, I've added this to my products to sell because they're very easy to make. They're fast to make. Well, the quilting bit makes it a bit longer before you can actually finish one. But yeah, the quilting is probably the longest part. But I'll guide you through how to make this box pouch. It is it could be a beginner friendly project, but because we're using zips and we're quilting, which can be totally beginner friendly as well. So yeah, let's get started. So here are the basic materials we're gonna need to make a box pouch. So this is the larger version, and I'm gonna make today a smaller version. So obviously you're gonna need a zipper. I use for my pouches and bags, I use a number 5 zip, but I'm also looking into getting number 3 because they're also, they they are also easier to work with. And also, okay, so we're gonna make a smaller size than this one. So first we need the zip, of course. I'm using today a number 5 zipper, and it's nylon coil, so I can go through the the zipper coil with my sewing machine needle, and it won't break my needle. I'm just gonna go, slowly when sewing the zip. Now, I like to use rotary cutter and an acrylic template for almost everything that I make. So I have a local, a friend here that lives here in the UAE who makes and cuts acrylic and wood and all that. So I ask her to cut specific sizes for me, and she does that at inexpensive inexpensive cost. Okay, so here's my extra. These are my quilt cotton. It's called cotton poplin fabrics. So I have this star print, and I have this gray marbly cotton poplin as well. These are just extra fabrics from my quilt backing and borders. Here's another extra quilt batting from my quilting business. So yeah, it's really a fun way to use up all those battings that you don't really know what to do with. You can even make it if you have smaller battings. You can even make smaller pouches. The flat pouches like this one. Let me just show you. Just like this one. This is also quilted. I like the look of quilted. It's really, I think it just makes it a bit better than flat, which, there's no problem with the flat. But yeah, I do love quilted pouches. Right, so we're gonna get started with our um, our cutting. I have here a rectangle. It's 10 inches. Um, it's 10 inches wide and 8 inches long. So 8 by 10 inches. This is my smaller size pouch, box pouch. Now I'm just gonna roughly, so since this is my lining, this would be my lining. So I'll cut the exact same size. So let's cut this. Right? So here's two pieces of my lining. So you only need two pieces. Now, for my for the front side, for the main fabric, I'm gonna cut a bit bigger than than this the actual size, just to allow because when you start quilting, it actually stretches and towards a bit. So it's nice to have a bit extra um, before you actually cut the actual size, because we're gonna quilt first before cutting our main fabric. So here I've got about an inch all the way around, so a bit bigger than the actual size. And same with your batting, just kind of just eyeball it. So let me use this. So let's see. So do that. So that's one front or main fabric and my batting, and another one. Just make sure that it will cover the whole thing. So there you go. Now, the quilting is kind of the fun bit as well for this project. You can play around with whatever quilting design you want um, on your fabric or on your pieces. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go with diagonal lines, and then kind of like cross it with another side of diagonal lines. So just like this. So it's got this side and then this side. So I'm gonna do that. Now it's up to you how big you want it, um, how many inches apart you want it. As long as the fabric is quilted with the backing, it's really up to you what design. You can even free motion quilt it, whatever you feel that you want to do with your fabric. You could even go and grab a pen, an erasable pen, to like draw lines 1 inch apart, maybe. Totally up to you, just like this. So here's like an inch apart of just lines. So yeah, play around with what you want to do, and I'll go ahead and quilt mine. Okay, if you're wondering what machine I'm using a Janome MemoryCraft 6700P. It's the professional one, and this is my favorite sewing machine. I have a few domestic machines, beginner ones. I have an industrial one, but this is my absolute favorite. So it's really good to have a walking foot when you're straight quilting. It just helps grab all the layers, and it just makes it a lot easier. But you can still go ahead with your normal or regular foot. That's fine. Um, it's just a tiny project anyway. So I'm gonna go and start this side. I can even change my stitch length to number 3.5, a bit bigger than your normal stitch length. So I'm gonna go about maybe 3 inches apart. You see, I didn't really draw lines or anything like that. I'm just eyeballing it as I go. On that side. And then now I'm gonna do the opposite side. All right, so we have this quilted fabric already and our lining. Now I like to use zip by the yard. So I can just cut it to the size I need and and then just insert a zipper pull later on. So I'll cut um, my zipper the same length as my lining, or basically the same length as your fabric pieces. So now I'm just gonna cut this to the correct size. You can even put them together and oops, cut it. Okay, just makes my life easier. There you go. Right, now what we need to make um, is also a tab. You can skip this, but I do like the tabs because then it helps to open it up and shut it close. You know, it just helps a bit, and I think it just looks a bit more professional for me. But you can totally skip the tabs. Now for tabs, I do like it. How wide is this? Sorry, I need to measure it. So it's 3 inches wide, and each tab is 2 inches long. So I'm gonna go and hand press this. You can totally iron this. It would be much better if you iron it. But because my fabric just stays when I do the finger pressing, I don't really need to go and iron it. So once you have it, double fold. So open it up, fold the inside like this, and then fold it like this. Now you have a long piece. Now this is not necessarily 2 inches, it's just a very long piece. It's about 9 inches long. I'm just gonna cut it to the correct size later on. So I'm gonna go and you can stitch both sides, or you could just stitch this one side that's open close. So I'm gonna go and do that. So here I've stitched it very close to the edge, and I didn't even have to go on the other side. That's fine. So I'm gonna cut 2 inches. So here's 2 inches. Okay, then we're gonna fold that, and that will be our tab. I'm gonna show you later how we sew that onto the pouch. You could even go longer. If, that's just, I guess, my standard, but you could even go a bit longer, whatever your preference is. But don't go too long. So here is 2.5 inches. So you could use 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 3 inches, but I wouldn't go longer than 3 inches. Right. So for this purposes, I'm gonna use 2.5. Okay, so you can play around with them your own style. Okay, we've got our zip. I just need a zipper pull. Here, that. So now we're gonna go to the sewing part. I will insert my pull later, but if you're using, one of those regular zip that already has a pull inside, that's fine. You can just leave it. So get your zip, put it right sides together with the main fabric, just one piece, and then align it at the top, just like that. And grab your pins or your clips. I do like using clips, so that's what I'll use. My zip is just a little bit longer than my fabric, which is, I prefer that, and then just cut it later. And then grab your lining piece, just one, and then also the right side together with the right side of the main fabric, and kind of like sandwich, so the zip will be in the middle. So there you go. Just make sure they're perfectly lined up. Go. And I'm gonna go and stitch, um, not too close to the coil, just a 1/4 inch. But because I'm using a number 5 zipper, this might be longer than the regular number 3 zipper that you get from local shops. So I'm gonna go 1/4 inch all the way down. Okay. So I'm still using my walking foot. You can change to a zipper foot, but I don't really have to do that. I'll go back to my normal stitch width, or length, which is 2.4. Go ahead. Now we have this, and what I would do is just open up this the fabric and push the bulk side to the right side of your fabric and do a top stitch. So just like an eighth, like an 1/8 of an inch, or 1/4 of an inch, whichever works for you. Then that gives a lot more professional look than just leaving it, not top stitched. So we're gonna do the exact same thing for our other side. So this is what it should look like here. Okay, so just like what we did for our first main and lining, we're gonna do the exact same thing. So I'm just gonna, the right side of the zip goes onto the right side of the next fabric, the second main, and make sure you align all the fabrics correctly. So I clip that first and then grab my lining. Again, the right side of your fabric should go right side of, see now the piece that we've sewn is in the middle. Okay, that's where you want it. And then, so again, like sandwich. Right, so just always make sure they're all lined up correctly. And then again, so a 1/4 of an inch right here. And then open up, push the bulk side onto the right side, the quilted side of your fabric, and then top stitch. Right, now we have this. That's the lining, and here is our main side. So I'm gonna grab my zipper pull first. Usually I forget putting the zipper pull, and then I've sewn the tabs and then forget I don't have any pull. So don't do that. So I'm gonna insert my zipper first. So this is what I do. Put one in. It's not easy. I mean, it should be easy, but I seem to be struggling this time, but there you go. I've got it. Okay, now open up your fabric just like this, and then we're gonna grab our tabs, fold it in half, just like that, and then put it in the middle of your pieces, and it's just like this, and just stitch that in place. So here I have now stitched my my toddlers with me, so you might hear him in the background. Anyway, I have this tab, and I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other side. So again, fold it like this and just sew it down in place. I would go really slow on the zipper coil, even if it is like nylon, there's still some metal bits in it. So there you go. We are halfway through. Now I like to put my little tag or whatever it is that you use to label your products if you're selling. So this time I'm gonna use something new. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this right here, I think, or here. And then make sure you don't sew it accidentally with the lining. So there you go. I'm just gonna put it right there. I'm just kind of eyeballing where it would go. Stitch that down. And Right, you can totally skip that if you do not have any labels. That's fine. Okay, now we've got our pieces together. Now the next thing we're gonna do is grab the main pieces, which is the main body, and put them together. And now you could go ahead and clip this together just to make sure that they don't shift, or you can pin it just like this. Sorry about that. And also your lining pieces. Run out of clips, so just leave it like that. Now I'm gonna go, so here's your whole piece. So we're not gonna do anything in the middle, just on the bottom side. So I'm gonna go and stitch 1/4 of an inch on this side, on the main side. Okay, and then on the lining side, I'm gonna do a little bigger than my 1/4 of an inch. And before you go all the way down, I'm gonna leave, let's say 3 inches opening. Okay, so make sure you back stitch where you stop, and then where you begin also back stitch, because it needs to be strong for, you know, turning the whole thing inside out. So now I've got a hole in here, an opening. So I do like to finger press the middle, the seams, just like that. And also on this side, just open it. We're actually almost done. We're almost there. Now, so we have these 2 pieces. We're gonna open this and make sure that our seam matches the middle of our zipper, making sure that your tab is in the middle as well, so it's sandwiched. Again, I do like using that word, sandwich. So just pin that in place and do the same thing onto your lining, just like that. Open it up and match it very well in the middle. Okay, so then now clip all 4 layers together. So we've got 4 layers now. 1, 2, oh actually, yeah, 4 layers. Okay, and then do that on the other side. So we now have this one here and then here. So now I'm gonna just stitch a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance from the top to bottom. I'm gonna go slow on the zipper part. So this is what it should look like from the lining side and the quilted side. That should have been open, but that's fine. And then later on, I'm just gonna cut that excess bit and do the exact same thing on this side. Make sure you put the zipper pull aside so you don't accidentally sew it. Yeah. And then pin that, clip that in place. And I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna do the exact same thing all right. So we have this and this bit. Perfect. So now we're gonna do the boxing part of it. So make sure you have your lining open and you can see your zipper. Okay, so we're gonna box our pouch. So to get this bit, okay, I'm gonna use 1.5 inch square for my smaller size box pouch, and on this one I use 2 inches. So the bigger size is 2 inches. So I'm just gonna mark with my regular pen. Now, where you mark it is from where, see your stitches here. That's where I'm gonna start with my 1.5. So it's like this. So I started from the stitched edge. So here I've already cut 1.5 inch on all four sides, sorry, marked. So now I'm gonna grab my scissors and start cutting. So I'm cutting all layers. All right, so we've cut all the sides. I'm just gonna cut the excess. Okay. And now that we have all four boxes, we're gonna open our lining and go through, find the main fabric and turn it inside out slowly. This is why it's very important to lock your stitches on your opening. It's gonna be pulled, pushed. There you go. There we have it. So we are almost done. We're just gonna do a French seam. Now we're gonna sew from the front and then later on turn it inside out and then close it. Just like this. It's sewn in here. Just it, I prefer this than having to serge it later on or put a like a binding, a bias binding. Definitely, this is definitely easier than doing all that. So we are almost done. We're just gonna line up, open up the box like this, and then pin or clip. Do the exact same thing to your four sides. That and the last one. Make sure that they're lined up properly. Right, so I'm gonna go and stitch 1/4 inch on all four sides. So I've done that. I've stitched all four sides. Now I'm just gonna grab my scissors and cut it very close to the stitches, just to reduce the bulk when you turn it inside out and then actually top stitch. Just be careful you don't accidentally cut the stitches. This step is important for me to reduce the bulk. There you go. Okay, now we're gonna turn it inside out. This. And push out your corners. Okay, push out the corners and then fold it like that. And then again, clip in place. Do it on all four sides. Make sure you wiggle it so you get all the layers. And the last one. And then also don't forget your opening on the lining piece. There's my opening. And I'm just gonna line that up and then pin it. And I'm gonna stitch very close to the edge. And here, just stitch with the width that will make sure that your stitches are hidden or your raw edges are hidden. So I'm gonna do 1/4 of an inch all the way and on all four sides. So I went ahead and sewn 1/4 of an inch, and I made sure I locked my stitches front, back stitched all my beginning and end. So now I'm just gonna tidy up just cut my threads, and we are done. Oops. Yeah. Don't forget to tidy up the threads. If you're making it as a gift, it's a good idea to also personalize it if you can. Embroider the front. And now we're gonna turn it inside out. And here we go. So push out your corners and just make sure that nothing is showing on these on the right side. There you have it. I've got my cute, super cute boxed pouch. That wasn't so hard. Should have probably better to put it in the middle, but that's fine. There is my super cute pouch. So there you go. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll have a link to download the pattern, only the sewing pattern pieces, and the small one and the big one. There you go. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.